Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage. Now the next project for the 65 Mustang, changing the carpet. Now before we change the carpet, I have to share something with you. I haven't had a fridge in my shop for a couple years. Every time I put one in here, they either break or burn out. As a matter of fact, the last one I had in here burnt out in only 3 months. Well, the awesome people at NewAir Products took care of that for me. They sent me this 125 can beer froster for me to try out. Now, I told you on occasion I get products from companies to try out and review, and I do turn a lot of them away, but this one is definitely worth sharing. Now, this thing has a lot of really cool features. First of all, it's got a light, which is really nice so you can see what's inside. And what's the difference between a fridge and a beer froster? Well, the door. This door is thick. Very thick glass, very well insulated. Not only does it chill down to 23 degrees, you got your light button here, there's a lock. So when you hit the lock and you set the lock, nobody can walk by and accidentally change any of your settings. You have the temperature settings that go up and down, and it tells you what it's at. That's really nice. But here are the cool features. First of all, there is a turbo button. If you have something you want to cool down quickly, you hit the turbo button and the compressor is going to put out the coldest air possible for 1 hour to make sure you cool that down. But here's the best feature. You're having a party, you hit the party mode, the compressor is going to stay on constantly blowing ice cold air for 6 hours, and no matter how many times the fridge door gets opened, it's going to keep everything nice and cold. I'll put a link to this product in the description of the video along with a discount code, so go and visit NewAir.com and check it out. And the best thing about it, it's made in America. Now, let's go change the carpet. Now, if you buy a car from someone who stores a car outside, this is what happens. Underneath the console, mouse droppings all over the place, the whole thing. Underneath the seat there's a huge mouse nest, and it smells in here, and that's what it smells. Mouse droppings all over the place, and it's filthy. But we have new carpet to put in here, and it'll look nice and new. start cleaning out, and behind the seat, there we have a nice mouse nest. The mice take all the batting from under the seat. Hope there's nothing alive in here. And they build a nest. And then that's what stinks. So do the world a favor. Don't store your car outside, because look what happens. There is generally two kinds of carpet. The regular standard carpet, which is the nylon loop, and you got the rubber back carpet, which is a little more expensive, so I buy the little more expensive. You save your old piece and simply trace the holes onto the new piece so you know where to cut the holes. I don't like to cut right from the carpet. I like to just mark the spot and then put it in place and cut it once it's in place. So if you're installing carpet, here's a couple tips for you. First of all, I have to mount my seat belt hook to here with a screw. I have to put a screw through here, and the question is, how do you find the hole? So you could look behind here and you know where the hole is, but the carpeting, this one has a rubber back, sometimes it's just a plastic back, and it's a nylon carpet, which means it's plastic. And if you start cutting at it, you run the risk of pulling it and get all these tears and frays. And so what I do is I use three things. I use a small pick, I use a punch, and then I use a piece of pipe that's the same size as the bolt itself, and of course a butane torch. And this is what I do. It makes it real easy. First, I make sure the carpet's in the corner the way it's supposed to be, so it's going to sit nice and flat. Then I roughly get the spot. I'm going to drill a hole, and I just stick the pointy one in there so I know where the hole is. And then I just immediately replace it. Like this. Take this one out. Push that one in. Now what has happened is, you can feel it, it's kind of melting the plastic. Now what I have is a hole here, behind here, where the rubber is melted. And I don't have any frays. Now I leave that there, and the next step is to heat up my metal tube. That's just a piece of stainless steel pipe that's the same diameter as the screw. Now what I'm going to do with this is I heat this up, and this is going to melt or cut a plug out of the carpet the same diameter as the screw. And what makes that nice is, again, you're melting the edges so it does not going to fray, and it's a nice round hole through the carpet, and it makes a nice plug. So you just heat it up just enough. Doesn't take long. Turn off your torch and make sure you sit somewhere where it's not going to burn it. It's going to go right in the same spot. So take that and turn it. It's going to melt. When I pull it out, there's a nice round hole. So you got the plug right there inside. I have a nice round hole where the screw's going to go in there. It's cauterized so it's not going to fray. And now I can take my seat belt, put the bolt in here, and run it down. So an option for this year was the center console that went all the way to the back, had some courtesy lights attached to it, and it went all the way to the front. If you had air conditioning, the air conditioning unit would sit right here. I had that air conditioning unit, but we're not putting it back in because everything is so old it doesn't work. We can always add it later. So in place of the center console that used to be here, I'm just going to put in the automatic transmission boot that goes around the shifter. And if it was a shifter, it would look neater, but since it's just an automatic transmission, I'm just going to replace it with the factory factory boot for the automatic transmission. Here's something I hate about other people's work. This is the rubber plug that goes on the bottom of the body to cover the holes where the seats go in. They're made out of rubber and they're really pliable, and all they do is seal a hole. When I got the car and took it apart, this is what was in there. People take stuff, just jam it in there, and put tons of silicone around it to seal it. I absolutely hate this kind of shoddy workmanship. Especially when a whole set of rubber grommets to replace them all on the entire vehicle is only like 15 bucks. Okay, the carpet's changed and it looks awesome. Thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage.